Apologies, everybody, for the issues that we have been experiencing today. It's just not gone our way whatsoever. My camera's not even loading at the moment, but Luke, today has just not gone our way, and we've been robbed by my PC crash of a what would have been a fantastic finale.
Yes, we have been, but I can tell you that Thomas Ronhard did qualify on pole position. I'll let you all know on that one. It was Tom Manley in second place, George Nader third, Shinaka Clay, Ruben Pedreño, Philippe Prejada, Jack West, Carter Lundy, Jarno Otmia, who invalidated his lap, who started in P9, and another invalidation also for Xander Van Dyken. They will be our top 10 drivers. Yeah, big shame, obviously, about what happened at the end of that session. I suppose now it is especially lucky that we are getting a bit of a restart, which used to be more of a big thing on the last game when fresh tyres wasn't a thing, but now everyone gets a fresh set of tyres, so it doesn't really matter. And we'll wait and see how things go at the moment. Although, we are hearing some big news in the chat. Thomas Ronhar has not got pole position. He has fully admitted that he went off track and, extended a lap and should have got an invalidation for it and didn't. So fair play to him for the honesty. But Thomas Ronhar's going to be starting P10, and it is actually Tom Manley now starting.
Wow, indeed. That is certainly a twist in the tail. Thomas Ronhar, who we did expect really to just take pole position, or Tom Manley, the pair of them being on the front row, certainly just thrown everything out of the water. And people are commenting on my profile pictures because my camera's not working. Let me try load it up once again, and hopefully you can see. It's either the loading screen or a duck, so you can choose what you want. But apologies for the issues that we are experiencing today. We are, I think, actually luckily having a lobby restart, because we would have missed the start of the race if that were the case, if we weren't having that restart. So I think that it's a good thing in the end.
Yeah, it is. I've got to agree with what everyone is saying in the chat at the moment. Massive congratulations, I suppose I want to say. I can't think of another word for the sportsmanship that we've seen there from Thomas Ronhar to say, do you know what? I don't want to get pole position like that. That lap shouldn't have counted. I'm going to start down in P10. So fair play to him for that one. Obviously now a big opportunity for Tom Manley to possibly take his first win. We didn't see the invalidation take place, or certainly I didn't see it take place, but we do believe that at some part of the circuit, and I'm going to try and find out a bit further up the chat where it was. I think it was towards the end of the final, well, towards Sector 2 and Sector 3. So I think coming through Stavelot, he's had a bit of a wobble, really got over that curb at that part of the circuit, and he says that should have been an invalidation. The game didn't give it. He's decided that, fair is fair. 4 wheels over the white line is generally the rules, but for whatever reason, doesn't seem to be at that corner. Whether we see that getting abused in the race now could be an interesting point. But yeah, very, very respectful indeed to go for that.
I think it is incredibly respectful, and I think that is a testament as to how seriously these guys actually take it. Because of course they want to have that fair race altogether, and if it were me in his position just racing with my friends, I would not have admitted to them that I went off circuit and I was unfairly taking pole. So I really do respect him for that, and I really do hope that he can climb through the order. And I think this is also just a very good move for him in terms of actually his likability. My respect for him has gone up so much at the moment.
Yeah, especially in a scenario like this, to just go, do you know what, guys, my mistake, put me down towards 10th place on the grid, where it would be. It's incredible that he's actually been able to do that. So yeah, definitely big respect for him. That could be massively costly by the end of the season. Overtaking is certainly possible around here. And we said in terms of a pole position, it's not the most important thing, but it's a complete sliding door situation. We don't know how that is going to affect things. There might be carnage in towards turn number 1 now. We might see, cars starting 3rd and 4th. I'm not saying this will happen, and apologies for picking them as an example, but we might see, Nadir or Clay go on Grosjean 2012 on us all of a sudden, wipe out the leaders, and then it'll be a good thing that you're not starting in towards the front of the grid. But I'm 99% sure that won't happen, even with the fact that there is no formation lap, so they will all have cold tyres in towards turn number 1. So a reminder again of what your top 10 is now with Thomas Ronhart starting from 10th place. It's going to be Tom Manley on pole position, George Nader alongside him, Janaki Clay and Ruben Pedreño, your second row at the grid, Philip Presnade rounding out the top 5, Jack West, Carter Lundy, Jarno Opmeer, Xander Van Dijken and Thomas Ronhart, your top 10.
Well, it's certainly going to make for some interesting racing, and George Nader's going to be starting on the front row. And if you can get the jump along around Tom Manley, I mean, that would be the biggest PS4 versus Xbox debate. And I know that we have our slight biases to the PlayStation platform, given that we were commentating on there before. But it might be a chance to really prove who has actually been better when they've come to the PC platform. Who knows what we're going to see once we get into the race, where we're going to have all 20 drivers. I'm noticing in the lobby at the moment that the weather has not been changed, so it's set to dynamic at the moment, which I wonder if that is going to change, because that could change it to wet when it was actually meant to be a dry race. So hopefully that could be fixed, but we'll have to wait and see as we're just getting the grid underway. Apologies, everyone, for the issues that we have had tonight. This day really just hasn't gone our way. Luke had the game crash earlier on in the race and or in qualifying, and then my PC just blue screened for whatever reason, and now my camera won't work. So you get to see my profile picture of a duck holding pizza with a pineapple on his head, and I think that really does just sort of sum up the entire evening in one nutshell.
Yeah, it does. It's a bit of a shame. I'm tempted to join you in profile picture world, but I don't know whether that'd mess things up with the cameras with the names at the bottom of the screen. So we'll just keep how things are going at the moment. We are just, I think, waiting for one final driver to come in. Then it'll be the grid has to be sorted manually, of course. No formation lap as well, and then we should be able to get things nice and underway. I'm just trying to see who is the final driver we are waiting on, so I can ping them an invite into the session. I'm going to be nice and careful and not name them on stream. Don't want to be sending any hate towards them as well. But yeah, obviously we've got to get that started. No formation lap, and it should be a fairly short race. That is one sort of small mercy about things at the moment. It is going to be a short race because it's an incredibly fast circuit, Spa. Amazingly, not as fast as its older one was, and its older circuit was back in the, I think, 70s before they changed this layout around here. But it's still such a quick track, and I imagine driving any sort of racing car around here is just an amazing experience.
Yeah, I'd really like to visit Spa-Francorchamps one day. Maybe not if it was like the F1 2021 Grand Prix, of course, where the spectators were just left out to dry in the rain. It's actually quite ironic that I said that, but yeah, I'd really love to visit this circuit and just see how cars actually handle it. I'd really like to stand atop of Radion as well and just look down at Eau Rouge, because it's you were talking about it earlier about how people have gone down on bikes and skateboards, and it would be the game just really doesn't give that sense of difference in height that it actually is. And I think that it's so cool. I'd really love to visit this circuit. We do now have all 20 drivers on the grid, and we are just getting ready to get underway. We have 3 drivers readying up at the moment, so I think we are going to have to wait for just one moment. So I think it's a good time to just remind ourselves of where we are going today. It is the Spa-Francorchamps circuit in the Ardennes Forest in Belgium, 7 kilometers total distance. And then we have 2 DRS zones for the drivers to utilise, with a total of 19 corners for the drivers to negotiate. It's a circuit with so much history, and it is certainly going to provide us with a fantastic race tonight.
Yeah, definitely. You always see plenty of overtaking, plenty of tactics as well with the DRS trains. That's going to be something to watch out for in this race, which usually means a close race. It is one of the circuits where you don't see the drivers pushing flat out all the way along. They tend to stay quite close together, trying to be a bit cagey. And normally, you don't want to be leading right towards the end of the race on lap number 22, because that could easily leave yourself vulnerable on the run down towards the Kemmel Straight, which 9 times out of 10, that is where you're going to see most of the overtaking done. You're probably going to see a few moves in towards the bus stop chicane, I think. Most drivers will try and make sure that they've used enough ERS to keep themselves safe at that point, but they're usually the main two, the main big braking zones. You probably won't see many drivers have a run into La Source on an overtake, and I wonder if we'll see any any of those DRS tactics. A bit like I think we saw with Hamilton and Alonso once at Canada, where they're each trying to slow down because they wanted to be behind the other one coming up towards the detection point, obviously. I think we might see some of those shenanigans further down the field tonight.
Oh, we definitely will. I remember, I think, what was like a season 28 PSGL race where it was Sam Corby and Benjamin Bulwark. They were just stopping, essentially, down the straight, the short straight before Eau Rouge to try and get the DRS on each other. And they were essentially parked on the road. I mean, they were way out of contention for any sort of points in that race, and I don't think we're going to see extremes quite like that, but it'd be very, very funny if we did see some runners towards the rear of the field who might have had some incidents earlier on, just having a little scrap together for maybe 14th or 15th position, as we are still just getting ready to get this race underway. We've got all 20 drivers in the lobby at the moment, and we are sorting out the grid. Matthijs van Erven is our host, and the weather is still set to dynamic, so I wonder if we're going to see any rain, and I wouldn't be too surprised if it's around Belgium.
Yeah, I think everyone else is trying to point that out to him at the moment. It was expected to be a dry race. Everyone prefers, obviously, driving around in the dry. Things are a lot more comfortable. It's generally on the game, a bit more entertaining when things are fully dry as opposed to fully wet, because when it gets a full wet race, you don't see a lot of overtaking. But Matthias has said he's ready, so hopefully we'll be able to get things underway soon. And I'm really hoping that this has been worth the wait for everyone. I think we should have started this race now probably about 30 minutes ago. It is going to be fantastic. Can Tom Manley hold on to take that first win? Can Jarno Opmeer recover from that invalidation in qualifying? And can Thomas Ronhaar, will Karma turn round on him? He's relegated himself towards 10th place for what he felt should have been an invalidation. Will we see him get some good luck and get his second win of the season? A reminder, there's only been 2 winners this season. Lucas has won 4 races. He's not here tonight. And Thomas won the other one in Bahrain.
And without Lucas, and with Thomas Ronhaar starting all the way down in 10th, who knows what will take place today. I can confirm that the grid is ready. We've got sunny weather as well, so the drivers are just going to be beginning to ready up. I think that the grid has been sorted. It is going to be Tom Manley starting on pole position. Let us know, everyone, in the live chat who you think will be coming away with the victory tonight here in Belgium, where we're going to be seeing 22 laps of dry running. We're getting the countdown to start this race. We're not going to have a formation lap either, Luke, so we're just going to have to sit here and wait for only a little bit longer, and we can finally get some racing action.
Yeah, we can, and there's always this thing I worry about at the moment. As long as everyone remembers to put your setup on.
Oh God,
that is the panic thing. I'm sure these experienced drivers won't forget that, but normally there's one person who goes, "Oh, hang on a minute, I've not put my setup on," and then they want another restart. If it's only one driver that does it, it's going to be tough luck. I think with the way tonight's gone, even if it's about 10 drivers that do it, we should just say, do you know what? Let's get this out of the way. Yeah, so sorry about the various issues that we've had. Some related to the game, some related, I think, to technology failing myself and down. But we're going to be able to get underway. Tom Manley starting himself on pole position, and George Dada alongside him. Can one of them take their first ever victory on the PC platform? And I think it's Tom Manley, joining the likes of Ronhaar and Benham, and I believe Shinaka Clay as well, in winning on the Xbox platform and winning on the PC as well.
Absolutely. It's a lot of questions left to be answered here in WOR. I'm seeing some picks for Jarno to win this race in the live chat. Jarno, I think, is starting in 9th position, around about there. He invalidated on his attempt, so we'll have to wait and see. We're going to bring you over to the game scene where we are getting ready for of the Belgian Grand Prix. And Luke, just quickly from you, who is going to win this today?
I am. Do you know what? I'm fancying Shinaka Clay to put in a good performance, to be perfectly honest with you. He just, had consistent pace all the way through qualifying. As long as him and Jack West can see each other and see that they're in the proper paces, I'm just going to go for something a bit different and go for Shinaka Clay to take the victory. How about you, Dan?
Oh, dearie me. I don't actually know. I haven't thought about that myself. I'm going to go, I think, with the boring option, Tom Manley, to win this evening. Starting from pole position, Thomas Ronhaar is quite a ways down in 10th position after a very fair call from him to admit that he didn't set a valid lap time, even though it didn't give him the warning. So I think with him being out of contention at the moment, Tom Manley is going to be able to capitalise. But you can finally see, everyone, we're about to get underway. 5 seconds until the lights come on. No formation lap here for us. And so the lights are going to be displaying as we're just loading. Hopefully all the drivers have got their setup supplied. But here we are. 5 red lights here at Spa-Francorchamps. And we are underway, and Tom Manley with a good start ahead of Georges Nader, headed down and towards the first corner. The AlphaTauri is going to cover that inside as we've got Philip Presnader looking to try and make a move on Shanaka Clay. As a bad run there for Tom Manley. Georges Nader is going to squeeze on through. Got a spinner at the back. That's Van Pookie's Aston Martin as Philip Presnader is going to be squeezing on through by, and he gets the move done on his set of the soft compound of tyre. And surely as they reach the pinnacle of Radion, here he comes now down the Kemmel Straight and peeling off to the left-hand side. He's going to try and make this move. He's got Jan Ortmir following in tandem. They're going to be 3 wide, headed down in towards now the chicane as Presnader comes out with their lead. Georges Nader having to defend from Jan Ortmir, who soars around the outside, making that move stick. He's up into second place. Tom Manley, your pole sitter, down into fourth, but as they file down now in towards the second sector, it is Philip Presnader leading from Jan Ortmir.
Yeah, trying something a bit different. We weren't expected to see soft tyres at any point in the race tonight, but Presnader and Ortmir have gone for them. Matthias van Herven gets a 5-second penalty for corner cut in one place. It is Georges Nader already more than a second behind Presnader and Ortmir. They're just going to go like a rat up a drain pipe at the moment. They are going to fly away on that set of the soft tyre. Shanaka Clay also jumping Tom Manley, who, you know, even without the massive tyre advantage that Presnader and Ortmir have got at the moment, Manley has not had a good start whatsoever. Baena and Thomas Ronhaar battling further back as well. We saw, I think it was Joe Hannon, this Van Pookje, having a bit of a collision earlier on. So that is Hannon down to last place, and Van Herven with a 5-second penalty, which he will have to serve in the pit stop. So unfortunately for him, there is no way of getting this removed. I'm interested to see how this is going to work now for Presnader and Ortmir. It is something completely different to what we were expecting. They've broken the DRS, but they are going to have to pit very early for a set of the hard tyres, of course.
Yep, they are going to be flying ahead at the moment. It's got more yellow flags. I think it's Miklavcic who's had an off and he spun around, and Ulas Zildrum has somehow cut the corner and got 5 seconds added to his race time. Miklavcic into the pits, as is Matthijs van Herven. But with the end of the first lap, we've got Jan Ortmir and Philip Presnader 1 and 2 at the moment, and they are 1.7 seconds clear of Georges Nader. They're going to have to keep extending that gap as much as they can. We saw Ben Jabakonyi starting on his set of the medium compound of tyre fly past Cartalundi, headed in towards the bus stop chicane. As we've got Thomas Ronhaar on the back of Ikabayanya. He has Liam Parnell also on a set of the mediums in behind, and that is pretty much the last of that lead train. So a lot of casualties early on in this race. Look at the gap between 12th and 13th. 3 seconds separating Liam Parnell and Simon Pernier. Something massive has happened so far.
Yeah, it's not something that you see too often, as I think we've had a bit of an issue as well. Is that I don't know if someone's had a bit of an issue coming out of the pit lane actually further back, or I think it might have been Istan Pookie and Zander Van Dijken getting very close together. Obviously, they've got the DRS on each other, so it's not as bad as getting stuck on your own further down the field. So I wouldn't say they're completely out of this yet. We can guarantee it's going to be a dry race for you. You never know though whether there is going to be a safety car, and that can completely change things. And you know, if we do get a safety car early on in the race, that might, you know, sort of neutralise it for everyone else. At another point, there's probably going to be some winners, and there are probably going to be some big losers. But yeah, they've seen Marcel do this strategy to start on the softs and just try to fly away. You've got to make hay while the sun shines. You've got to build this lead now, and I think they've got to work together. The last thing Presnader and Ortmir need to start doing is battling too hard. If you overtake each other cleanly on the DRS stage, yeah, that's absolutely fine. You're not really costing each other any time. If they start getting a bit of argy-bargy in the corners, they're going to lose time. And then later on in the race, we'll see Nader, Clay and Manley start coming back to them as, oh, we have got, I believe that is a virtual safety car as Ulas Zildrum retires in the pit lane.
Yeah, I wonder something's happened somewhere.
Oh, Ronhaar's out.
Ronhaar's had a crash. He's crashed. Thomas Ronhaar's crashed. Oh my word. He's crashed somehow on the run up towards Eau Rouge. We have lost the Dutchman. The safety car has been deployed. Thomas Ronhar eliminated on lap number 3. What has gone wrong there? Something must have happened, and he's going to be furious with that one. We have lost probably the man who was meant to challenge for the win of this race already, and that is such a massive, massive loss. After also that giving up of that rightful giving up of the pole position, he's now paid the price for his kindness.
Yeah, and it might have been a bit of a delay with the game, but I'm fairly sure that retirement came up after we saw, the full circuit yellow flags. Unfortunately, we couldn't see whether it was a VSC or a full safety car at that point, but my goodness me, what on earth has happened to Thomas Ronhorn? Now it's a full safety car. Now it's interesting to see what all these drivers are going to do, because it's so early on in the race, I don't think anyone is going to want to pit at this point.
I'm looking in the Discord chat, there is more desync. There is actually more desync this evening. Oh my word, and that is how Thomas Ronhol has been eliminated from this race. The spam pinging Luke Humperdinck. Luke Humphreys, of course, the league admin, who is having a very stressful time. You really do have to feel for him this evening. I mean, it's been so unfortunate that everything has just gone completely off the rails. For the moment in this race, Philip Prejnader and Jan Ortmir coming into the box, as is Georges Nader and Ben Jabo-Conny. This probably hasn't worked out in the favour of the two starting on the softs, and getting confirmation that we're not having a restart.
Yeah, I got a feel for Ronhar and Azildrim, and I think Xander Van Dijk could have had their own issues as well. I mean, when I saw the carnage sort of happening into the chicane, I was wondering on lap number 1, I was thinking, please just be a bit of optimism on cold tyres. Please don't be any desync. But yeah, this all stems, for whatever reason, if you start a lobby and then have to leave that lobby for whatever reason and don't restart the game, it's like it can't connect to anything, and it just seems to cause desync. But a lot of the drivers, Otmir and Charbot-Conyer, I mentioned this earlier on, when they restart the game, they're losing all their settings. So it's just too much of a hassle for them at the moment. And it's been said plenty of times, I don't know if we can say it anymore, this game's not fit for purpose.
Not at all.
And it's a common thing. It's like, before everyone goes, oh, look at Luke attacking F1 again. ACC's got its issues with DDoSing. iRacing had, that had brake holding, it had the, grass wheel dipping. R-Factor's got its own problems. They all seem to have some issues, but F1 is the one that people see the most, and F1 is the one that is having the biggest issues at this moment in time. And we've seen it happen in esports before. Let's not forget, Taditsa and Jarno Otmir started piggybacking in each other at Canada at one point.
Something needs to change.
It's been a problem for years.
Something really does need to change.
But it won't.
No.
It won't, because we keep buying the game like fools.
They don't care. I mean, we might get ourselves in trouble for talking about this, but this is ridiculous at this point, how this has unfolded. These issues that we are seeing have been a part of the Codemasters F1 Series games for so long at this point, and it is disgusting how long it is taking to fix, and I don't even know if there's any plans to fix that, because it seems like with every single patch they promise fixes, and then it just appears that you can buy a new sofa in my team or something. Like, it's so silly. We're not going to have a restart this evening. We're going to have to deal with these desync issues, but we shouldn't have to. Codemasters need to fix up, because this game is in the limelight. The Formula 1 Twitter talks about this. They tweet about F1 esports, and they are so involved in it now, and it's becoming such a forefront in the minds of Formula 1 fans that it cannot fly at the moment. And I think something needs to change in the structure of Codemasters. Not in the sense that they just need to fix the game, but they need something to change with this. It's ridiculous at this point. I'm trying very, very hard not to swear at the moment, but I'm very angry tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said it was at the forefront of everyone's mind. I can think of a few more words beginning with F that things are on there at the moment. One of them's farce, and one of them I'm definitely not saying there on stream at the moment. But there we go. We're still under the safety car conditions, so I hope you've all enjoyed us Hope you've all enjoyed us ranting there at the moment. We're just waiting, I think, for the final few cars to catch up. That is going to be Istvan Pukki. Just checking, the top 9 drivers have not been into the pits. Everyone else has been in. George Nader going on to a set of medium tyres after having started on the hards, because you have to use 2 different compounds of tyres. So interesting how this one is going to be working for George, because I'm not sure. Well, even if the mediums do last that long, they're not going to be in a great place at the end of this race, are they?
No, those mediums are not going to be in the best condition towards the end of the race. And I wonder if he might have... Well, he started on the hard compound of tyres, so he couldn't have actually gone onto the hards. And I guess with the pit stop being open and having that free time to come into the box, it is fair enough that he's decided to try with this gamble. He's in 12th position behind Jan Otmar and Philip Presner, who I think have been almost screwed over in some ways by this safety car. And it also begs the question, actually, that if Thomas Ronhaar weren't giving up, if he didn't give up that pole position, he probably wouldn't have been in that position to actually have the crash, unfortunately. And maybe these issues would have just been passed by the wayside. So I think Thomas Ronhaar, he's done us a big favour once again by being able to publicise these issues. But we have had word from race control. The race is restarting on lap number 6, and it's going to be Shanaka Clay leading Tom Manley to the restart here.
There it is, Shanaka Clay. On those hard tyres, it's still fairly fresh. They're not going to have the best of warm-ups, though, so I wonder whether Liam Parnell could be one to watch out for, and maybe even George Nader further down on his fresh set of the mediums. But when is Shanaka Clay going to go for things? It looks like he's gone a bit earlier on there. I was expecting him to wait until halfway through the bus stop chicane, but no, he's gone pretty early. We are back to green flag action. 17 laps to go here at Spa-Francorchamps, and Shanaka Clay has gone, but Tom Manley definitely following close behind. This is going to be an interesting run down towards Eau Rouge and Radion, and then up the Kemmel Straight.
Here they go. Right now, no DRS, of course, going to be enabled until 2 laps after the safety car comes back in. Is off the exit now of Radion. Is Tom Manley going to have an opportunity to close that distance? I just don't see it happening, but he is getting closer to that rear wing of the Williams car in towards the braking zone. Can he go for the move? Not quite. What about his teammate Jack West in behind? No, he's going to stay in that position. Jan Otmar, meanwhile, is getting his fingers dirty. He's up in towards P10, which of course is technically the net race lead, because everyone else in front of him is yet to pit. As in towards Rivage now they go. Jan Otmar has well and truly confirmed that move, and now it is going to be Philip Presnader at the mercy of Georges Nader, utilising his fresh medium tyres, and he'll try and overtake them as soon as he can.
Yeah, well, George, he's got to go now. He's got to try and get a bit of a run on. Jarno's had a fantastic, really, obviously start to the race on those soft tyres, and I think the safety car has helped him, because he'll be going to the end on those set of the hard tyres. A lot of other drivers he'd have had to worry about. He doesn't have to, because a lot of cars still have to come into the pits, and I think he'd rather like to Clay, Manley, Pedreña, West, Lundy, Baena, Parnell, Perenier and Van Dijk, and you're just hoping for another safety car at the moment, and then a switch to mediums or hard tyres, depending on what you started the race on. But Nader all over the back of Presnader at the moment, understandably taking it a bit cautious as they get on the approach to Blanchimont. He's gonna, well, the inside line's been left open there by Presnader. I'm surprised by that one, and Nader says thank you very much. I'll take a net second place.
Easy move for Georges Nader on his set of the medium compound of tyre, completely fresh out of the box, and having a few laps already done on a set under safety car conditions. They practically have no wear at this point, and he's going to utilise his battery down this short straight up towards Eau Rouge to see if he can overtake Jan Otmar without any DRS necessaries. Up the hill they climb, and in towards Radion they go. Georges Nader's going to make this move easily. Jan Otmar not even going to try and fight this one. It's not his race at the moment. He knows that those tyres are going to fall off towards the end. Jarno is going to have that advantage later on, so he's just going to stick in behind for the time being. Georges Nader, though, up into 10th, going to do what he can and try and climb as high up the order as he can. Yeah,
that's his aim now. He's got to try and make as many moves, preferably as many as he can make on the rest of this lap from Nader before the DRS zone is activated, which will be at the end of the next lap. So at the end of this lap, first time they'll be able to use it is down the Kemmel Straight on lap number 8. But those medium tyres working well on Nader's car. Surprised to see that Liam Parnell hasn't been able to make as many moves as his, because they'll have still been fairly fresh after doing half the race under the safety car. at the moment. So probably expected Parnell to maybe, be more on the back of Baena and Lundy, but not able to do so at the moment. And thankfully, everyone seems to be, touch wood, everyone seems to not be having any issues at the moment. And we've got a full 18-car DRS train as Van Erven now gets himself a time penalty. Just as I say, no one's having any issues. Matthias Van Erven has had a spin coming out of Paul Frere, so he's right down at the back of the field. And it is going to be a long, long evening for the Dutch esports driver.
Yep, his day in tatters at the moment. He had a spin at, he had an incident at the start of the race, had to come into the pits, and now he's had a spin down at Paul Frere on his own. So, yeah, really unfortunate for Matthias Van Erven. But now the DRS has been enabled after the safety car restart, so we'll see who's going to utilise that advantage as best they can. Of course, in that DRS train, it is so difficult to overtake the car in front of you. Once they have the benefit of the DRS as well, it effectively cancels it out as they all fly down the Camel Straight and in towards the chicane. They just can't do it. There's no opportunity really to go for a move. Maybe Philip Presnader on Jan Ortmeier. He got close to the back of the Dutchman, but wasn't quite able to make the move stick. And we're seeing a little bit of a disparity between the top 8 and the rest of the field. Georges Nader momentarily was out of the DRS range. I'd imagine that those mediums still being fresher than those hards are going to allow for him to dip back into that window. But yeah, early issues it seems for that bottom 10.
Yeah, just issues at the moment. I think why we're not seeing many overtakes, because we spoke what seems like ages ago, right back at the start of the original qualifying stream. If everyone's running 0-0 wings, you've got less of a slipstream effect. The DRS is less effective, so even, with Tom Manley being the driver possibly in the best situation at the moment, because he's the only driver that has got a car in front of him that doesn't have DRS range, when Manley himself does, he's just not getting close enough at the moment. It needs to be about, I'd say 3.5 tenths of a second when he opens that DRS, when he clicks that DRS activation button, opens the flap on the rear wing and goes for it on the main straight. Shalaka Clay's doing a superb job at the moment. And as they're all similar levels of DRS, Clay's actually got a tiny bit more than Manley at this moment in time. Jack West using quite a lot in 4th place at this moment. So if he drops below 10%, he'll start clipping. And he might just be in a bit of trouble. But things are going to stay relatively calm for now. We'll see how things go later on, as I think Nader a lot closer to the back of Perrinier this time. Perrinier obviously has got the DRS as well, but Nader should have the grip on the braking. Whether he's going to be able to get close enough though on the straight is a different question.
Here he comes now, opening up the DRS, and yeah, as you say, he's just not going to be able to get close enough into the braking zone. There you go. He hardly gained at all on the back of Simon Perrinier. And so I'd imagine that just until we see the pit stops coming out for all the hard runners, which I'd imagine is probably going to be around about lap 12 or 13, because they're going to be able to take the mediums comfortably to the end of the race by that point. Typically we see half the race being done on the mediums, half on the hards, and they start on the hards because the wear later on in the race is lesser when you are lighter on fuel. You're not putting as much load into the tyres, therefore tyre wear is less. So it's typical to see drivers starting on a set of the hards and then ending on the set of the mediums. But Liam Parnell and Georges Nader at the moment are being the contrarians. Jan Ortmeier and Philip Presnader are also going to be finishing this race on the hards. Pretty much everyone from 11th downwards actually is going to be finishing the race on this set of the tyres, and it's going to be the task of the top 8 to catch up to the rest of the pack and try and make their moves and get up into that top 10.
Yeah, I do wonder now with some of those that didn't come in under this original safety car. So we've got someone diving in very early indeed. Carter Lundy obviously trying to take advantage of the fact the mediums will last from here. He's coming into the pits. It will have to be mediums on his car. And Xander Van Dijken has also come in. I think this is not a bad idea from these two, coming in quite early along and getting a good amount of laps on the mediums. I wonder whether we'll see anyone maybe go for the opposite strategy, pick quite late in the race and put on a set of soft tyres. We saw how effective the softs were against fresh sets of the hards. Just imagine how good they're going to be against sets of hards that have done, 14, 15 laps towards the end of this race.
At the moment, we're seeing Liam Parnell struggling on his line Leopold mediums. Simon Perrinier was able to get close in the braking zone, but the DRS bailed out the German Red Bull driver as they head down in towards Ravage. Simon Perrinier certainly got the tyre advantage at the moment. as they file in towards the second sector. I've spotted a wild George Morgan in the live chat, and I almost had a similar rant to what he had in PSGO Italy a few seasons ago. It wasn't to the extremes that he had, but it's great to see that a year later the issues are still the commentators are still going to have to go off on a tangent, and hopefully for many more years to come. We do love classic Codemasters here, as on lap number 10, after a desync infested stream this evening, it is still Shanaka Clay leading from Tom Manley, but it seems like Ruben Pedreño is getting close to the back of Tom Manley. I think he might be struggling ever so slightly.
Yeah, Manley, I noticed, I think it was coming through No Name, had a little bit of a slide on that last lap, and that just allowed Pedreño to get a tiny bit closer, but he's not going to be doing so anymore. Pedreño on his way into the pit, so I think everyone realising they've got to come in pretty early on and get as many laps on those mediums as they can, and just hope that the hards fall off the cliff at the end of this race. It is only now Clay and Manley that have stopped out on their sets of tyres. George Nader, he's doing what he can. He's just got to try and build a bit of a gap. 2.1 seconds, as long as he doesn't go too crazy and take too much out of those mediums, because things will come back to Opmium and Presjada later on in this race. And talking about coming back to Presjada, he's all over the back of Jarno Opmium at the moment, very straightforward, ahead long before we get anywhere near the braking zone for Lecombe. That is the Alpine up in towards 4th place. I don't know whether Opmium made a slight mistake there or was just quite happy to let the Alpine come through, because you don't normally see moves done that early on the Kemmel Straight.
Easy as you like for Philip Presjada, and Jarno Opmium did not decide to fight it because we're hardly halfway through in this Grand Prix, so why fight it now? You know, just save your tyres, save the battery until later on in the race when it actually does matter to be overtaking your rivals, because they're going to have less of an opportunity to re-overtake. So we'll see what happens from here. Carter Lundy is the lead pit stopper because he's been able to undercut Ruben Pedreño and all the runners in behind who've decided to box. So this is a good time for Carter at the moment, and he is 1.8 seconds clear of anyone else, and that is because that warm-up, I'm losing track of my thoughts at the moment, but the warm-up is so abhorrent on this game that if you have a one-lap undercut, it can be a lot more powerful than what you normally see. As Carter Lundy, he's flying at the moment, quickest in that second sector. Shanaka Clay is coming into the box, and I get the feeling that Carter Lundy is going to be able to jump him.
Yeah, I get that funny feeling as well, so we'll see what Lundy can do here. The warm-up, like you said, it's dreadful. Normally on the hard tyres, on the mediums, it doesn't seem to be as bad, so you're getting a more conventional undercut, what we're used to seeing where drivers are pitting onto the hards. I mean, that's how good Carter's tyres are at the moment. 145.3 from him on the last lap. He's going to be comfortably ahead of Shanaka Clay. You know what? A few of these other drivers might be ahead of him as well, because Clay's not had a fantastic exit there. I think Pedreño is going to be very close. Gets ahead before we get through Eau Rouge and Radion. So that is Ruben Pedreño in towards second place. Well, not in that second place, in towards 11th place for him. And Shanaka Clay did not get the DRS off the back of the McLaren either, so has to sit behind for now.
Yep, Ikabanya can't get by on him this time, but Shanaka Clay, I'd imagine, especially in this second sector where his tyres aren't all the way up to temperature, Ikabanya is going to have a good time of overtaking as he has a half look towards the inside, in towards Ravage. He can't find the gap, and look at the distance in between Ruben Pedreño and Shanaka Clay at the moment. It's already 1.1 seconds. So you can just see the difference in slightly more warmed up tyres than completely fresh cold tyres at this point in the races. Carter Lundy's gap is also beginning to diminish. So Ruben Pedreño has kicked it up another gear, and he seems to be the quickest of the bunch at the moment in this train. And Shanaka is just holding everyone up, but it's better now that he keeps them behind, because once he phases into this race, he'll be a lot quicker and he'll be able to challenge to the back of Ruben Pedreño. Going to see if Tom Manley indeed finally does come into the pit lane. That is going to leave George's Nader out in front as a bit of a slide coming into the box there, and that would have been very unfortunate if he were to put it in the wall and chip off a bit of his front wing.
Yeah, it would be very unfortunate. We've seen, I think it was Kimi Räikkönen got it wrong here. I can't remember if it was last year or 2020, driving for Alfa Romeo on the way in towards the pit lane. It's one of those circuits, we don't normally talk about it in terms of awkward pit lane entries and exits, but the walls are never too far away, so if you're a bit over-ambitious, you can easily get it wrong on the way in, all the way out of the pit lane. Predator seems to have put the hammer down a bit more. He's got the gap to underneath 2 seconds now between himself and George Ada. And after all of those pit stops, Tom Manley, I think briefly, has jumped Shanaka Clay, but Shanaka Clay is going to be coming right back at him round the outside on the run down towards the Kemmel Straight, and Shanaka Clay does get that 11th place. How good are these medium tyres? Can they get themselves onto the back of that train in front of him? Carter Lundy is currently 6.3 seconds behind Istvan Pukki, but as the late great Murray Walker said, catching is one thing, overtaking is quite another. To get past all those cars to really fight for the lead of this race, going to be a big ask for these medium runners.
I think they can do it. I think they've got the pace at the moment. A few laps ago, that was about 8 seconds between Cartalundi and Istvan Pukki. We actually got a poll in the live chat at the moment as to who you think will be winning this race. The picks are Philip Presneder, Jarno Opmeer, Cartalundi and Shanaka Clay. And already with 130 votes, Jarno Opmeer has got 80% of them. At the moment, the Dutchman is currently running in P3. He does not need to come into the box. Because of course he pitted under the safety car on for the hard compound of tyre. He'll be able to make it to the end of this race, and I think he has got the wide support of the WOR viewers yet to win. So far this season, it's very surprising that Jarno Opmeer has not taken victory this season. It's only been Lucas Blakely and Thomas Ronhan. Blakely's not racing today, and Thomas Ronhan crashed out due to desync issues. So guaranteed today, Luke, we are going to have a new winner, and I wonder, is Jarno Opmeer going to be the man to do it?
Yeah, I wonder as well. I think he's just holding on to things at the moment and saving things. This is very interesting what we've seen further down the order. Tarabukin and Pukki have both come into the pits and gone back onto a set of the medium tyres. So very intriguing scenes here. They're coming out now in 16th and 17th place. They've got a bit of work to do to catch up to some of the cars ahead of them. Liam Parnell, I think, obviously losing out big style from not pitting earlier on as Ruben Pedreño gone down the inside there of Cartalondi, gets the move done. Pedreño up in towards 7th. They only caught up a 10th of a second on the last lap. So whether they are just trying to hold their tyres until later on in this race and hoping that they've still got something left, or whether this is just the pure pace of the mediums, because the gap between the hard tyres on F1 2021, you'd avoid hard tyres like the play. You did not want to go anywhere near them. On this game, they're a very decent race tyre. Warm-up is obviously the main problem, and the safety car kind of eliminated that for everyone.
Yeah, I think that the gap between Pedreño and Joe Hannon is larger than the gap. I think Hannon was ahead of Pukki on the road, who was the last of the runners on the hards, and that's why the gap between Joe Hannon and Pedreño has increased, but the gap between 6th and 7th seemingly hasn't. So I think that's why it didn't really look like there was too much of an improvement. I still think that those mediums are in great operating windows, but certainly those hards are a very, very good tyre at the moment. And they can last pretty much the entire race around here. This race used to be, I think, a soft to medium, and now it's a medium to hard. Typically, you just see the softs in qualifying, then everyone runs hard mediums or mediums to hard, unless you're a bit of a contrarian, like we saw Jake Benham last week, and like we saw Philip Presneder and Jarno Opmeer this week. So it's interesting to see how the change in tyres have actually been implemented from this game and compared to the last, as we're seeing Shanaka Clay closing to Cartalundi, and off the exit on towards the Kemmel Straight. You can see he's overtaking quite tidily there, Cartalundi, without too much of a challenge. It is now up towards 2nd in that train. He's got 1 lap fresher tyres than Ruben Pedreño, so I think in the next few laps Shanaka Clay is going to be able to overtake the Spaniard very soon.
Yeah, I think he is as well, and then obviously start pushing on those ahead. No one else has to pit in this race. Everyone will now be going towards the end, unless they get damaged, unless we see a safety car. Everyone's going to be trying to fight their way right up until the end of the race. The penalty situation, 3 seconds for Miklevcic, Baena and Van Dijken, and now for Andrei Tarabukin, who picks up his first 3-second time penalty. 6 seconds for Matthias Van Erven and Joe Hannon. So that could definitely be worrying for Hannon later on, as he has these medium runners closing on to the back of him. Nader's doing a respectable job at the moment. He's been keeping that gap at around the same distance, and in fact on this lap he's been pulling away from Philip Presneder. So we'll see how much life is in those mediums. I think round about lap 18, lap 19, things are going to start getting very, very, very dicey on those yellow wall Pirelli tyres in the McLaren. and that's when he's really going to start losing plenty of time. I think Presneda, Otmia, and Sharbo Konye could start closing all over to the back of him. You were certainly right in terms of the time gap, because the last couple of laps, Pedreño's gained around 7 or 8 tenths of a second on those hard runners out in front. So this is going to be an interesting one. Those hards are also going to wear off as well. The mediums will do very well and should last towards the end of the race, as that's another spin for Van Erven.
He's been able to keep the car going there. He's lost his end plate, so I think he's going to come into the pits and fit a new front ring or just retire, because I think at this point, I don't even know if a safety car can save him. He has 6 seconds worth of penalties as we're seeing some more overtakes being made. I completely missed all the overtakes. I do apologise, everyone there. Shanaka Clay has got through on Rune Pedreño, and Tom Manley has been able to overtake Carter Lundy. And I'd imagine that they were just overtakes under DRS, and I'm just going to be covering for myself there. But we've now seen some changes in position. Shanaka Clay, as I did say, has been able to get by on the Spaniard. What I do think is happening for Georges Nader as Matthijs van Erven does retire in the pit lane is that the hard tyres of Presneda and Jan Otmir aren't getting any quicker, but those mediums are certainly going to fall off, and they're going to get a lot slower towards the end of this race. So I still think that Presneda and Jan Otmir are in the best position to win this race, unless those medium runners can close the gap in the next 3 or 4 laps. Then they'll be able to challenge those stricken hard runners who are going to have such old tyres. At that point, it's going to be quite easy to actually make a move and overtake them. So it's just a matter of waiting at this point. Drivers are going to be settling into their grooves, and then we'll see maybe in the last 3 or 4 laps some action really start to kick off.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Nearly 2,000 people watching. Thank you so much, everyone. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to catch the rest of the WOR action with top-tier Xbox on the Mondays and top-tier PlayStation on the Fridays. I've got to agree with you. I don't see a way Nader wins this race at the moment on those mediums. Only if Presneda, Otmir, Sharbo Konye, Miklavcic and Hanon start battling really hard through all of the corners. And I think they're far too sensible to do any of that at the moment. And I think for Clay, Pedreño, Manley, and the rest of those on the fresh medium tyres, it's just going to be too difficult once they get onto the back of Miklavcic and Hanon. They'll have a slight tyre advantage. It's just whether they're going to have enough time in this race to be able to catch up. I think they're just going to run short. You might see Clay get close to a podium, but I think he's going to fall tantalisingly short, unfortunately, and 4th place might be the best he can do behind Presneda, Otmir, and Sharbo Konye. And we've been talking about, obviously the Alpine and the Mercedes. I wouldn't write off the Alfa Romeo. We said he's a bit of a stalwart to the PC platform. On the same age of tyres, sticking in behind the Mercedes and the Alpine. He's got to be a bit intelligent. He's got to be a bit smart if he wants to make a move on those cars ahead. He's not got more ERS than them. In fact, it's the Alpine who has about 20% more ERS than everyone at the moment. And being in a DRS train, that's probably not going to work out for him. So needs to think about where else he could get a move done. Into the bus stop's a possibility, but he's just too far behind on this occasion.
Yeah, well, let's have a quick look at their improvements on position. Ben Sharbo Konye was eliminated in Q2. He now runs 4th position, and he's up 8 places. He's not the biggest mover at the moment. That belongs to Primož Miklavcic, starting in 19th position. Then Joe Hannon started in 17th place. So all of these guys having tremendous runs up the order due to the safety car helping them out this evening. However, how long are they going to stay there for? Because once Shanaka Clay gets within the DRS range of Joe Hannon, those medium runners are going to be moving tenfold to what we are seeing. I've just seen in the live chat we have peaked over 2,000 viewers. Thank you to everyone watching this evening as we got Joe Hannon trying to make a move on Primož Miklavcic, and if they start fighting, it's not going to go their way as Tom Manley to the inside of Pedreño. Oh, dear me, a little bit of contact between the pair of them. I see the blinking red lights for the AlphaTauri. He is flat on the ERS, and this is certainly a problem for him because he's not going to be able to catch up later on.
I mean, he went for it on that move. It was quite a long way back. The door was certainly open. I just don't think there was enough brakes and enough downforce on that AlphaTauri to get it stopped in time. Pedreño left him a car's width, and that was all he was really obliged to leave him. Thankfully, no real damage done there, but it's allowed Clay to just get that bit further away from Pedreño. It's allowed Lundy to catch back up as well. Bayena's dropped back in this train behind West and Perigny. And now we've got a train all the way from 2nd to 10th, well, possibly even 12th place if Jack West can get back within that 1 second, because Shanaka Clay is on the back of Joe Hannon. This is where things now really get interesting, and this might be a bit of a wake-up call for everyone in this race. Nader's tyres are falling off the cliff. The gap is now down to 1.4 seconds at the front of the field, and it will come down every braking zone, every traction zone, every corner. Those mediums are going to be crying enough. Last time around, he was about 4 or 5 tenths of a second slower than Prej Nader. So I think, unfortunately, Nader's race is won. Is it going to be Prej Nader? Is it going to be Otmea? Is it going to be Charbot Gagne? Or is Shanaka Clay going to pull this off? I can't wait to see what happens, Dan.
Absolutely, the laps are beginning to tick down, and if it was Belgium last season, we would have had a late safety car at this point, so still, anything can happen. Just looking at the results of the poll, we had 818 votes, and 81% of them went towards Jarno Opmeer winning this race. He is currently running in P3, but once they overtake Georges Nader, he'll be running in second, as we'll just have to wait and see. A lot of fans putting faith in the Dutchman to pull through, but I think Prej Nader has got a great opportunity, because if he plays this tactically, he's not going to try and overtake Georges Nader until the very last opportunity. Then Jarno Opmeer is not going to have a gap to try and go for. So I think that Prej Nader still, if he plays it smart, has the best chance to win this race. But Jarno Opmeer, I would not put it past him sending a move up the inside and trying to overtake Prej Nader and jumping the gun and maybe catching him with his pants down. We'll just have to wait and see. We're on lap number 19. We are now watching Shanaka Clay on the back of the Red Bull driver Joe Hannon this evening, as off the exit of Blanchimont. What's the difference in pace going to be? He's using the battery, headed down in towards now this fast left-hander. Can he try and make this move up the inside in towards the apex of the corner? Job done for him there, and he gets that move done. What about Philip Prej Nader on the back of Georges Nader? He's not quite through yet, but surely now, Luke, he's going to have that opportunity down the Gemel Straight.
Yeah, and I think if he can get it done down the Kemmel Straight and Jarno can't follow him through, this could be a race-winning move from the Alpine driver with 3 laps to go, because through the middle sector, Nader might be able to hold off from Jarno Opmeer, and it wouldn't surprise me if Prej Nader could pull out more than a second on this lap. Here comes the Alpine driver. He's all over the back of the McLaren. Needs to make sure he's not too close at the top of the hill. That was pretty much perfect, and I think Nader knows he's got no chance of stopping this happening. Prej Nader puts himself in towards the lead of this race, and Jarno Opmeer, he's too far back to do anything about it at the moment. He's having to defend from Charbot Gagne. Shanaka Clay has got himself up in towards the top 5 now. The question becomes, can Prej Nader break himself away from the rest of this train and take the victory here in Belgium?
There's pretty much no opportunity for Jarno Opmeer to overtake aside from Blanchimont this lap, so he's going to have to sit in, wait, and try and find that opportunity as soon as possible. The gap already beginning to stretch out massively for Philip Prej Nader, who is now 8/10 of a second clear of Georges Nader in second place. Shanaka Clay is now well and truly in this train as well, and with the fresher medium tyres, he's going to have that tyre advantage, and he still has a very realistic chance of getting a podium and a potential win in this race, as here they go off the exit of Paul Frere now. Jarno Opmeer following in chase on the back of the McLaren car, whose medium sides are completely fallen off the cliff as they head down in towards Blanchimont. There he goes, the Dutchman looking to the inside line. He's made that move stick. Can Ben Chabaconi find an opportunity? Indeed he can. Headed in towards the bus stop chicane. Shanaka Clay's getting his nose in too, as Georges Nader, in the space of just a few corners, has lost 3 places and headed on towards the penultimate lap of this Belgian Grand Prix. Philip Prej Nader is 1.3 seconds clear as Shanaka Clay to the inside of Ben Chaboconi in towards the first corner, catching the Alfa Romeo napping. He wasn't able to make the opportunity work this time by, but now up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Luke, with 2 laps left in this race, we still have plenty more excitement.
Yeah, we do indeed. Shanaka Clay all over the back of bench of Charbot Gagne. They're all just using their VRS at the moment. Prej Nader and Opmeer obviously having this own little battle with each other. Here comes Shanaka Clay on the medium tyres. Down the inside goes to Williams. He's got the extra grip. He's got that Williams onto the podium places for now. Nader not losing as many places that time around because he's got the DRS from the back of Manley, and that is just helping him. But Clay working himself up into third. Could he get himself ahead of Jarno Opmeer using those fresher tyres? Could Shanaka Clay still win this race as the Flying Dutchman tantalisingly close to get him back within that all-important 1 second mark, but he's used up a lot more ERS than his rival in the Alpine.
It's not looking good for Jarno Opmeer. Philip Presneder has been able to stretch that advantage. However, though, the Dutchman is just being able to trickle beneath that 1 second window that he needs to take DRS on Philip. As they head down and towards Blanchimont, Jarno Opmeer has got to push hell for leather on this next lap and a half as Clay's got a penalty and he's off the road. Oh dear, the bottle to end all bottles. Shanaka Clay has gone off the circuit. He's got a 3-second time penalty added to his race time and now he's down off the podium. His day in tatters. Van Dijken has gone off at Paul Frere as Clay goes back up the outside in towards the bus stop chicane. Ruben Pedreño's getting his hands in there as he's trying to make the move on Ben Shabakonyi. This is for the final spot on the podium as they head down and towards the first corner. Pedreño's made the move. Tom Manley, we've forgotten all about him as they're 3 wide off the exit of the first corner. Contact as they ride down this short straight in towards now Oru Januradion. Tom Manley up into 4th and now onto the podium. Jarno Opmeer's not been able to get that gap down. He's losing so much time to Philip Presneder. I don't think he can do it, but what have we just witnessed as now Pedreño under pressure once again from Ben Shabakonyi into the braking zone they go. So close to contact, but Shabakonyi muscles him out there.
Fantastic there. I mean, I don't know what happened to Shanaka Clay. Just maybe got on the curb at the exit. He's now trying to go all the way around the outside at Bruchel on Jarno Opmeer. Can he keep a wheel alongside there? Because he'll have to be given track position. They're still fighting. Tom Manley might get second place in all of this. No way are we going to see 3 wide down towards Puhon. Surely can't work out. Clay just out ahead. Manley ahead of Opmeer. This could be a second place for Tom Manley in all of this. It looked like Pedreño was going to take advantage. He just went too deep into La Source, and that is what allowed Tom Manley to fight back and be in front of all this. Presneder, in the end, is going to have a very comfortable victory.
Philip Presneder coming through Paul Frere as Tom Manley makes the move on Shanaka Clay. What a drive from Tom Manley. He was at about 6th or 7th at the beginning of the final lap. He wasn't able to close up to Philip Presneder as Jarno Opmeer is beginning to sink down the order as in towards now the
I think.
Oh no! Puncture for Jarno Opmeer. His day's done. Philip Presneder's tyres survived as off the exit of the final corner. I think his tyres have given out, but it does not matter. He wins in Belgium. Tom Manley's going to come home for P2. Ben Shabakonyi ends up on the podium. Ruben Pedreño in P4. Shanaka Clay 5th. And let's see Jarno Opmeer's Mercedes. Has his tyres given up? Yeah, I think it has. Oh my.
Yeah, just, I think everyone saw it in the chat at the same time as me. Opmeer, when you're driving in a straight line and you've got your wheel holding about 30 or 40 degrees towards the right, it is not good. Such a shame for Opmeer that what happened. Imagine what would have happened in one more lap. Presneder's tyres looked as though they'd pretty much gone pop as they came across the line. It is all about fine margins in Formula 1, no much more so in league racing and esports. We might have given F1 22 a bit of a kicking today, probably rightfully so, but I don't think you can deny it's provided us with an absolutely fantastic race.
So fantastic, I'm spilling water all over my setup. Whoops. But yeah, what a race after all the issues that we had tonight. These drivers still persevered. This race, the stream should have been over at this point, and these drivers have dedicated so much time into league racing today. And we are very thankful. We're also very thankful to all you, the viewers, all 2,400 of you in the live chat at the moment. It is much, much appreciated that you've stuck around so late this evening. This has been in total 2 hours and 15 minutes since we started the original stream that died after my PC just decided to not work. But we are very, very thankful for you all this evening. As Philip Presneder celebrates atop the podium, he takes victory in Belgium, and I think that was a bit unexpected, I would say. Let me just pull up the poll the results that we had earlier. Only 11% of voters said that Philip Presneder was going to take victory, and I think RNG definitely did go a little bit in his way with the tyres not giving out like Jarno Opmeer's did.
Yeah, it's always been a thing on this game. Once you're in 75%, you're in the hands of the Pirelli gods, and every single percent it goes up could be getting that opportunity of a puncture. But yeah, such a shame, obviously, for Well, you know what, Mia? That's happened. I reckon we'll be seeing plenty of more punctures as well. I mean, Nader came into the pit, so we didn't get to see whether his tyres were going to get a puncture at any point. Yeah, crazy scenes, I think, in that race, but a well-deserved victory from Philippe Presnader. In the end, it's not his fault Jarno got a puncture, and I think even without that puncture, he did what I said, got ahead of Nader and built that 1 second gap. I don't think that made any difference in Presnader winning this race. I think where it did make a big difference with second and third. I mean, Tom Manley, who would have called him finishing second place, even with half a lap to go, probably?
Absolutely. I mean, Tom Manley was able to just take advantage of everyone having their individual scraps, and we saw that. We mentioned it that around about like lap 15 or 16, where these drivers would just sit there in their rhythm, know that there's going to be a bunch of battling later on, and someone was going to take advantage. And Tom Manley did that today, and he was able to climb up the order. He started on pole, had an unfavourable pit strategy, was overtaken by a few runners, and I think he did fantastically well today. Hopefully we do get to talk to him once the interviews come our way. And Luke, is there anyone in that room waiting for a chat with us?
Yeah, there is a couple of people in there already, so we're gonna drag them in. Yeah, we've got Philippe Presnader and Benji Charbonneau, Dan.
Fantastic. I think we'll start off with Bench Charbonneau, of course, taking P3 today. Bench, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, fantastic. I think this might actually be the first time I'm ever interviewing you. Well done on the podium today, but let's talk about your qualifying. You're eliminated in Q2, and just run us through what happened in that session.
Yeah, to be honest, qualifying was never my strength, especially on this track, so yeah, a bit of a shame not to get to Q3 because the potential was there, but yeah, I mean, P12, I was like, okay, that's still a place where you can gain a lot of positions and potentially get an amazing result. So I stayed optimistic. I went for a medium start, which turned out to be the best, as there was a safety car in the third lap that allowed me to just fit on a fresh hard tire and go till the end, which was a huge advantage. And yeah, in the end, it was amazing, and it turned out to be a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, and it really did work in your favour, I believe. Today it was sorry, I was just lost my train of thought. I saw something, but you did work your hardest this evening today, and of course later on in the race when those medium runners caught up to you, were you wavered by anything and the potential of losing that podium?
Yeah, I mean, seeing 3 cars in your mirror who are much faster is quite worrying, but yeah, at the start of the last lap I was like P6, so at that point I basically gave up on the podium, but I kept fighting, and there was that chaos ahead of me, and yeah, I don't even know how I got P3 to be honest, but yeah, really happy with that one.
It was a very entertaining race, and you did really, really well, but we still have a very long season at hand, and do you think that we could be seeing you in the interview room in the future?
Yeah, I hope so.
Absolutely wonderful then. Thank you for joining us in the commentary box, and we'll let you get away and enjoy that P3 that you've received today. But Bench Charbonneau, everybody.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Okay, that brings us on to Tom Manley, who has joined us in the commentary box. And Luke, why don't you talk to the man that's finished P2?
Yeah, well, congratulations on that P2, Tom. Obviously, the start of the race wasn't an ideal for yourself, but definitely made up for it with what seemed like a crazy final 2 laps.
Yeah, the overcut worked well, just with the safety car, obviously, all those hard runners in the way, kind of negated the tyre advantage, really, because we're on the train. But carnage in the last few laps, so managed to make a few positions, just kind of sitting back and waiting for it to all happen. So kind of worked out in the end. I think Philip was too far ahead anyway, so I think P2 is the best I could have got.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, P2. I mean, you saw everything going on around you with obviously Shanaka having a few issues as well. We saw punctures for Jarno and possibly even Philip right at the end of the race. Did you have any tyre concerns of yourself, or were you all happy with everything? Is how everything was working out?
No, definitely not. The tyres were absolutely fine, obviously, because they took a gamble. They're just praying for maybe 2 more laps, and then could have been different. But the tyres were fine for us.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any surprises there. I mean, you had fantastic qualifying pace all season, but things really seem to have come good for you in the last 3 races. 2 podiums, 2 second places, brilliant results. Do you think that first win is on the horizon?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, with some guys also focusing on esports as well, it opens the door a bit. Obviously today, seeing different faces up there as well. I think it's coming, yeah.
Yeah, certainly looks like it will be doing. So congratulations, Tom, on another podium in what was certainly, hopefully, a race that was worth the wait for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
So that was Tom Manley. Everybody, the man that finished P2. He was better than everyone else today, aside from one man, Philip Presnader, taking victory in this race. And we get to speak to him here in WOR. Philip, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello, everyone.
Okay, fantastic. So let's talk about your strategy call at the beginning of the race. You started on a set of the soft compound of tyre, and then of course the safety car came out on lap number 3. Talk us about your strategy to come into the pit lane and then fit the set of the hard tyres.
Well, I mean, I started the race with not much of practice, around an hour and a half, so I really just tried to be different and do something different in that regard, because I don't think on pure pace I could have won that. So yeah, I wanted to be a bit different in this way, and so I chose the soft tire, and I knew that strategy would work if there would be at least one guy in the top 10 with me, and that was Jano. So the main plan was just to get us both P1 and P2, like right at the start, which obviously went through quite nicely, and just go as long as we can and then bolt on the hards and have the track position, because with trains and you could see the carnage as well. You never know what can happen, but yeah, that safety car on I think lap 3 or 2 was quite helpful as well, because it gave me a bit more breathing room, so that was definitely nice.
I think it did end up working out very much in your favour, but towards the end of the race we saw tyre issues. This is specifically on the last lap of the Grand Prix. We saw tyre issues for both you and Jarno Opmeer, and just talk us through about how managing the tyres, how important that was this race.
So obviously the tyre was quite big of an issue. I remember, I think I checked them around lap 14, 15, and I saw the wear, and I was doing a bit of a math on the straights to see what the wear was like, and I came out with around 80-ish%, which would be in the puncture territory, so that was not ideal at all. So I had to start to dial back my pace a bit and try and manage the tires. But luckily I think I've done exactly that, as Jarno kind of dropped off in the final lap, as I think his tires just gone away. So I think I got little bit lucky, but also that time management really helped in that regard.
Yeah, and of course we saw Jarno Opmeer, I think, get a puncture towards the end of the race. So I think you were quite lucky in that sense that you didn't actually receive the puncture by the end. So and it didn't completely screw you over. So I think the tyre management on your side of things might have just been that a little bit better. And of course, headed into the rest of the season. Next week, we head to Canada. How do you feel around that circuit?
I haven't driven it in quite a bit. I think last time it was actually on F1 2020. So I want to see what kind of changes there are, if there are any. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
Yeah, well, we hope to see you there in the commentary box after Canada. And really well done to you this evening. We'll let you get away and enjoy that win, but thank you for joining us in the commentary box, and really well done once again on this race.
Thank you. Goodbye.
And goodbye, my friend. And that brings us to the end of the interview section of this stream, and Luke, after all the issues faced, I think we were still treated to a great race this evening.
Yeah, certainly. It all it all sort of kicked off in the end. That safety car, whatever caused it, I'm sure there'll be plenty of debate about all of that in the future on social media with all of that. But yeah, certainly fantastic race with all of that. It was really borderline as to whether the hard tyres could get towards the end of the race. I mean, we saw that Jarno getting himself a puncture, George Nader as well, having his own puncture on the front left-hand tyre, actually, which he said didn't actually feel too bad, didn't have a lot of wear on it, but that punctured for him, so he was out of the race on his mediums. And this sometimes happens. We got to see lots of different strategies here today. Who would have expected the soft strategies from Jarno and Philippe? And it so nearly worked out for them, despite the safety car. And I was just trying to do some quick maths in my head. I believe after all what's gone off today, Jake Benham's still second in the championship at the moment. Lucas Blakely has maintained that lead at 74 points because Wanhar crashed out. Jarno had a puncture towards the end. We didn't see Thomas and Nicholas Longay. I think it's now actually Tom Manley. He's got himself up into third place. So Lucas Blakely, he's had a week off, and it's not really cost him anything.
Nothing has really changed. He's still 74 points ahead in the championship, and I think Thomas Ronard, it's so unlucky that what happened to him with the desync problems, and that once again begs the question, is this game F1 esports ready? But I can almost guarantee you there's going to be a special build of F1 esports, and that's going to have none of the online issues that us on the live patch are facing, because why make a competent game for all viewers, for all consumers to enjoy? But I think less said about that topic, the better. I don't believe there's anything else for us left to go through. As previously mentioned, we are headed to Canada next week, and that will make for a very exciting Grand Prix, of course. I know that when Andy was here, he would always love to mention that it was Tom Martinez winning that race. I wonder if he'll make a return and we could see him winning in Canada. But from us, I believe that is all. As I guess, thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. It's the big red button beneath the stream. You cannot miss it. And make sure you follow us on Twitter at WOR League. And join our Discord server. The link is in the description. Thank you to our sponsors at Grid Finder. Once again, you can check them out. Links are in the description. You can also find myself on Twitter at DanFieldF1_, and you can find Luke at LukeEtheridge95. And but from us, it is all. Thank you for tuning in to this WOR stream. We will see you next week for the Canadian Grand Prix. Stay safe, everybody.